What's up, guys? I hope you're having a great weekend. Welcome to Sunday Scan. If this is your first time watching it, make sure you watch the whole thing. Get a feel for it. I usually go through the week recap, my thoughts for the week ahead, what I could have done better, what I did wrong, what I did right, and sort of the current market environments and what makes sense today. Timing is everything. And that shirt last week that I wore, the NKLA Nikola CEO stepped down just hours later. So although it was more of a joke type situation in that sense, I tried to give the warnings that it just doesn't make sense to be long. And just because it's pulled back 50% does not mean that it can't go down another 50%. So hopefully it saved a lot of people from kind of thinking that it doesn't matter, it was before they were public, it doesn't matter, that was, the truck works now. Same conversation we had last week. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. That's not what's in question here. There's a very big issue. Anyway, hopefully some got saved on that one rather than trying to, go with the flow on StockTwits and Twitter and just kind of all message boards. Okay, yep, it's going to be fine in the end. So anyway, hopefully that was good. WKHS, I posted my thoughts midweek on that one. The short over $30 per share and basically anticipating what potential range was available. And I gave the chart reset kind of levels and it was still about 28 bucks or so. And I was thinking 23.80s to 24.20 range, something like that. I tweeted that out. Next day, it was down another $4.50. So we hit that target range. And again, hopefully you guys got a good piece of that one. That is my wheelhouse, kind of anticipating the potential range, which is also why I should probably trade options more, and I don't. Every now and then I do. As you also saw, Zoom. ZM. I bought the 480 and 450 puts on Wednesday. Both produced 1,000% gains on Thursday within the first hour or two. So that's the third time on Zoom that I've done 1,000%. If you guys remember, I bought the 380 puts when the stock was 400 and maybe 30, 450, something like that. Just kind of anticipating what potential range could happen in the event that it pulled back. And so that is a strength of mine. However, where I typically have a little bit of trouble is either one, sizing in too big, anticipating that move, or two, being a day too early, right? So usually in a situation like that, with Tesla, as you guys saw, the anticipated kind of range calls, I'm good with that. Just my timing is like usually one day off. And if I did options, I'd be a lot better. And so Zoom was a good start and continuing to do well on that Zoom style trade. Special situations, I don't want to trade them every single day because one, I don't know what the heck I'm doing still. And two, I know that people have a tendency to make a whole bunch real quick and then they start firing off Thursday and Fridays and you just piss it all away. So that was great. I am still not going probably I'm not going to take on too much size with options, but again, if you buy 5, 6, 7 grand, you make 1,000%. That's crazy. And that's a good risk for reward in my book. So just wanted to touch upon that. But again, what I could have done better even on WKHS. I had a lot of size on. I had a lot of money at risk. I took that swing from 30s, short a lot overnight, which there is market risk, right? However, if I had done the options and used that anticipated range, the potential that I could have made with limited amount of risk, probably a lot better. So that is something I still need to kind of adapt, think about, review, get better at, but I'm just not there yet. There's only so much time in a day, and I can barely keep up as is. So that's that. Traders for a Cause. If Cam does a good job editing, maybe here or here, he can put a link. And we're doing a free, I think it's 8 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m. Both Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to have a bunch of different speakers. We're partnering again with Chart Summit, which the reason we do that, it's a different kind of vibe, right? There are a lot of great chartists. So that gives a different kind of viewpoint from a lot of the Momo traders. We've got swing traders. We've got authors. We've got a special author coming. We've got Greg LX21 showing up. We have a bunch of new faces that we haven't welcomed to the Traders for a Cause family yet, which is going to be great because that's what it's all about. It's all about different services, different traders. They don't even need a service, but just well-known or people that aren't even known yet that just have a lot to say, that they could share that one thing that really changes your career path. And that's what Traders for a Cause is about. And as usual, if you find value in it, the goal is to raise as much money as we can for Breast Cancer Research Foundation, as well as a few other beneficiaries that we are going to vet once we survey everybody that's signed up. So the sooner that you sign up, the sooner you have a little bit more input on where the rest of the dollars go. And as usual, we'll have a couple sponsors, and that allows us to have 100% of the proceeds go to the causes. There's no, taking a little bit for, this or that or anything like that. Traders for a Cause is ran essentially by private donors, so that when we are raising, we're able to give it all exactly to whatever cause is needed. I was going to wear my Always Look Left shirt this week, but I felt it was better to wear the next shirt. This week, I tweeted a friend that I've met in Miami and Traders for a Cause a few times, Stan, and he had just, shared that he hit his max stop, and he was frustrated because, it was a terrible day, and everybody else is killing it, and he hit his max stop, and he was a little bit frustrated, but his goal the next day was to, feet off the pedal and take a break, size down, and, just kind of like tiptoe through the market the next day, or even take the day off. And I tweeted him, and I was like, no, look at the last 3 months, the last 6 months, the last 2020, whatever. Look how far you've come. Look what you've done. Your strategy is right. Your strategy is working. Just because one outlier trade gets you does not mean you just go and, walk around with your tail between your legs and just give up. The same market that takes gives, right? And that was something that I always admired about Eric Wood. And that's something, like I said, you're always learning. It doesn't matter who it's from, but you take a little bit from every single trader and you mold into one trader. And one of the things that I always appreciated about Eric was he'd get blown out one day. All of a sudden, the next day, he's there back and made more. And it was just that fast ability to go next, reset, and refocus. And so that's why I wore this one this week over the Always Look Left shirt, just because that's exactly what you need to be doing right now. Same thing with Kodak. Kodak, when I had stepped in front of it and I got caught in a couple circuit halts, that was not fun. I already went over, how many figure loss I went for a ride on before it came back in a little bit. But with that said, the next day, if I just was like, screw it, I'm going to take some time off because, I broke a rule and whatever. No, 2020 has been the hottest year ever. Get up, reset, refocus, next. And KNDI happened the next day as well as the next 3 days, and all of a sudden that Kodak loss for me was history. And that's a big loss and 3 big gains done 3 days. So that's always the good thing. And so anyway, to recap with Stan, I DM'd him on Friday, and he said, made it all back and more. The goal is not obviously to make it back. The goal is to trade well. So he came to the market, he got prepared, and he did what he does best, what he's done all of 2020. And guess what? It worked, because the data the numbers, the history shows that overall he's okay. He's a pretty good trader. But that one day does not mean you just give up. So think about that when you have a loss and everybody else is winning. Think about that when you have a loss and everybody else lost. Half the people are going to give up, but you're going to stick. You're going to stick with it. You're going to have that ability to bounce back and really zone in and focus on what happens next. So other than that, nice market call this week as far as Thursday kind of weeding out the last people and then shove it into the weekend. I minimized that trade. I was long AMD, Apple, just like I said, and I was short SQQQ. And I covered about $1.22 too early on SQQQ. What I did wrong on that was I just sized and sized and sized. And I mean, I had a gigantic position. I was pretty confident about it. But there was a couple little jumps around the day that I was like, yeah, I'm up nice. I really don't want to end Friday with some type of market pullback where this rips up and I do something stupid. So I sized down, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. And then it faded. So that's fine. It is what it is. I was prepared for it, but I oversized. And because I oversized, I understayed. And I think that says a lot about different situations when sometimes you can make more with less. Shirts, Hustle King and Stock Block. Hustle King put a lot of thoughts and comments to use in his trading and made a good trade on Pola. And Stock Block was another one that had left a comment. All you have to do is leave a comment below. Biggest takeaway, key takeaway, really anything that that you found of value, so that I can kind of re-put that into the start of the next scan. And last but not least, as usual, don't underestimate supply and demand in this market. You saw it this week, SPI. SPI went nuts, and everybody. That was a weird one for me because there was borrows, and I took a couple thousand shares. That's it. Just in case I wanted to trade it. And I was like, you know what? There's just AMD is working, WKHS is working. I was managing a large position on WKS, so I was like, I want to be laser focused on this big trade that I have going on. I don't want to have something that kind of gets away from me. So, there was availability for the borrow, and then I went back and it was gone. There was a little bit more, went back, was gone. And so to me, that meant the borrow was very scarce. So throughout the day, I was like, who could they be squeezing? There's not that much inventory, but it's really a supply and demand situation. And what was interesting about that trade is the algo, and there's definitely an algo involved in that, where they go up. And so a stock has to maintain the circuit halt level for 15 seconds. That bid needs to stay at, so it starts going up and it hits the circuit level, and it has to stay there with the bid for 15 seconds. And if you noticed, if you watched, it would go up 12, 13, 14, down, back up through. And as soon as it comes down and back up through, the down part was in the 15th second, 14, 15 seconds. So it resets the level, the circuit level to the upside. And then they go up to the next level. And then they go up to the next level. That was all scripted. That was all algo driven. That is not human interaction in that case. The times that it did halt was likely due to somebody blowing out or something like that. But even 3,000 shares, 5,000 shares, 10,000 shares, if you were fighting that trade, $10, $20, $30, I mean, that's a crazy move. So always expect the unexpected. Be cautious. Never put your account at risk. And same thing with CBAT, SUNW, POLA. We're learning new things every single day. There's no reason for those things to be going. And it's all supply and demand. These things go up to 3, come back to 150, and then all of a sudden they're 850 the next day. That's crazy. But that should be alarming for anybody with a new account, because you could go from your $8,000 account to $2,000 real fast. So there's that. And then PEC, P-E-C-K. Understanding, SPI fueled SUNW, which fueled PECK. So understanding which ones kind of, work together would and can lead you to a pretty nice trade, as you saw with Peck, with the idea under $5, and it just went circuit to circuit to circuit to $13 or $14. So really always understanding, remembering that kind of stuff. Put it to memory. Next time you see CTIB go, you have 10 names that could potentially run at the same time, because that's just how the market works. So moving right in, I'm going to try to make this a little bit less than 40 minutes. I think it should be around 20, 22, 25. We'll see. See at the end. Same topic as SPI, SUNW, and PECK. Knowing which ones run with each other is going to get you profits that much faster. So, $500 billion for black-owned banks, businesses, things like that came out on Friday. What's that mean? Right away, boom, UONE, BYFC, CARV, and it doesn't even matter if the CEOs, it doesn't even matter on some of these names whether or not they fit that category for this particular run, because people start to think, okay, what ran at the same time as that? So UONE fired off a bunch of broadcast names, SALM and I forget. There's like a whole bunch of them. NTN. So all these are also potential runners. It doesn't mean they're going to run, but they're potential. If UONE, BYFC, and CARV keep on leading the pack, then all these other ones, it's going to be a trickle-down effect, and everybody's going to have so much money from having these stocks go from 8 to 10 to 12. They're going to be looking, where can I put more money to risk? And so then they're going to start to go to the low-hanging fruit and start bidding it up, and away they go. So, with that said, UONE, this is a situation where it's like almost like a no-brainer short on Friday. How did it just go into those three halts, and then people still chase? So, was there a short position prior that got caught that shoved it up that high? Maybe. No-brainer short. It just went up too much too fast. It's got to pull back. And then all of a sudden, it holds. So now, if I was shorting it, I did short it for a scalp. But if I was shorting it and this thing, there's no reason why it should be going up here. They have a lot of shares to be able to blow out, which I think they probably already did. But whatever your short thesis may be, I'd be confused right now, because it held really, really well. And you have to remind yourself, it's a supply and demand market, right? There's way more demand than there is supply right now. So even though UONE is not the same company share structure wise as originally when it ran, that doesn't mean that it still can't act similar. I'm not saying that it's going to go as crazy as it did, but what I am saying is don't underestimate it just because there's more shares outstanding now, right? So it ramped into the after hours. So basically, I'm going to fly through these three because they're all the same thing: BYFC and CARV. My thought is that they all can potentially start to fuel each other. I have positions in BYFC and CARV. UONE, I traded it small on the long side. I traded it small on the short side, but I didn't take any position overnight. However, that's kind of the leader of the pack. So I'll be watching to see, do they open this thing at 8, 9, 10, and then they bring it back down to this level and they kind of use that, hour or two pre-market to trap? Or are we just going to go, straight to the moon? If we go straight to the moon, then BYFC is going to open, 230, 253. And if you guys remember, from this same level, all you need is volume, right? So the first day was 7 million, next day was 7 million, and then it had 171 million. So I'm not saying it's going to do 171 million, but what I am saying is this is a unique situation where, yeah, banks trade it at their net asset value, and that is the short thesis, and yeah, you're right. However, if there's a lot of demand and people don't care and they keep on buying it, then there's only one way for it to go. And so this easily could go back up to 354. It could do a lot of stuff. The last time that it ran, it peaked out around 312s, and it had one big gap up towards the 4 range. So it's thin enough, or it trades thin enough that it definitely can do that. Carve, same thing, pretty wild moves in the past. This day had 60 million, but it went from basically the $2, but it gapped up to about 7. And I think it had a pre-market. I think a newsletter came in pre-market, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6. But it ended up going up to 22, 23. So keep that in mind. There is a lot of potential on these. At the same time, don't overstay if they start going the other way. So those are going to be definitely main watches for me. UONE, BYFC, and CARB. We'll see what happens. Again, I have positions on 2 out of the 3 of them from a lot lower. Immediately, as soon as that headline hit, which from a guy that doesn't normally post in the room, you know, he killed it. He put the headline out there that nobody else had kind of really seen yet. And all of a sudden, I was like, you know what? Bam, that means I need to buy BYFC and CARB and all these other names and spread it across them all. So, and UONE kind of shot straight into a circuit. That's why I didn't get as involved. But just a great alert, and the beauty of being in IU is exactly that. You never know who's going to get the headline first, and that one headline crushed it for the room. So that was really, really great to see. And then the other one, WKHS. This is one that has been fantastic, obviously, for me. I would treat it like an Apple, an AMD, and a Tesla, right? So we had that huge overextension, just like up, and away, starts to squeeze out, and then bam, comes down, unwinds, and then it just has that huge unwind, and almost like an overextension to the downside. Flushes everybody out, resets the chart. Now we're going to come back up, retest potentially those prior levels into the 25s, 2560s is kind of the key level. But higher the better, and I'm looking for it to kind of fade off, settle off. It might be another swing trade type situation, but nice opportunities on Friday. Nice failed fall through momentum, lower high here, then has trouble with the prior support. So if you just draw a quick line, you can see this prior level becomes the top, and then this prior base becomes the top a couple times. So this is going to be a key level over here at $25 per share. So we'll see what happens with that one. And then what we're going to have is for failed fall through momentum. Again, if you click through to the link on the description, you'll see, and you can go through and see all the comments on each name. But TAT was fantastic. I put on a little bit just to kind of be present in the name. As you guys know, I like to dabble. I like to be in small so that I can get a feel. I'm watching it. It's on my main radar. And, that way I'm zoned into that trade. So I let it swipe up, let it do its thing. I had a feeling it would probably do that just because it was slowly fading off. Let it exhaust everybody out. And then I started to hammer in. Nice trade, fantastic all day. Held pretty well on the support. I expected it to flush down to the 480s. I was prepared at 480, maybe 86 and 81, something like that. But ended up basing, I guess the low was 5 on that flush. But that would have been my candle to probably cover into, but I just missed it. So I had been sizing in throughout the day quietly, and unfortunately I missed that. So I didn't want to get in a situation where I ruined my Friday, and I had enough where if it wanted to swipe into a halt, that I could have. So I went ahead and just took it off and moved on. So I think though that because this type of action into the close, I think that was a lot of covering. So with that said, usually what you see here is a weak open. However, if we do retest and we gap up, this is a looking left situation, right? So you put in this top right here at 6. So higher the better. I am hoping for a gap over 6. I am hoping for a rush towards 6. But that is a looking left situation. You can see the prior kind of support level over this area. And then it starts to put in a top here and a top here. And again, you should assume that 6 is going to be the trouble spot. That doesn't mean it stops there. It just means that that's where you start to kind of make your plan off of. Trill. Trill is not that interesting on an intraday level. If you're looking at the 1 minute chart, it's not, as clean cut as some of these others. But what I am looking for is that day that it just kind of gives up. And a good example of that would be, RAD, where It just kind of, it gaps up a little bit and it just fails, right? Flushes out, fails, flushes out, fails. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for on Trill. Higher the better, ideally some type of ramp and fail off of the 14s. Again, looking left, you can see that 14 is a key level. Then the continuation, I've only got two. APWC interests me. There is a buyer here. There is interesting action for me. Once again, looking left, it's not rocket science. You can see that I had trouble with the same spot twice. But same thing, you've got some pretty good support in this range here. And now you've got some decent support down here in the 160s or so. So what I'm interested in, and I have a position on this I bought on the flushes and stuff, but what I'm interested in is if the dips hold that 150, 160 level, I'm going to be interested in a potential trade there. So that is about it for the trades that I'm prepared for. Again, if you click through the description into the link, you'll see that we have a couple, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 other names. Same thing with SQQQ. I don't have an exact plan right away today, but it's going to be a reactive trade. So if the market starts to unwind, I'd go long SQQQ or short TQQQ. But for me, SQQQ was a really nice opportunity, a really nice setup, and a great way to trade the market. I prefer the $20, $30, $50 range rather than the $100 or $200 range. I'm not afraid to really size into those, whereas I probably wouldn't take 10, 20,000 shares of TQQQ, but I would trade 50 or 100 or more of SQQQ. So that is the answer to the popular question that I got in the room, like why are you shorting this when you could go long that? So that's it. If you have any questions at all, check out investorsunderground.com, reach out to us, come check out the room. If you are a momentum trader, swing trader, news trader, doesn't really matter. We have them all. It is a room of veteran traders that and new traders that are all kind of focused on the same thing. So as you guys know, we have a traders lounge. Talk about it a lot. That is geared towards new traders. So we've got our main momentum room and we've got the traders lounge. And the Traders Lounge has like a little couch logo, and that's exactly what it is. It's just lounge out, ask your questions. We've got a lot of good guys in there that are fielding questions all day, helping other members. As usual, it's a great environment and a great spot for everybody. So reach out again if you have any questions. And Traders for a Cause, don't forget, the link is below in the description. And I hope that we get to see you guys in the room tomorrow.